where do they stand in the 2024 draft standings? First time in a hot minute. They're not picking first overall. They're seated firmly in pick number 3 with, correct me if I'm wrong, gentlemen, that's got one Marvin Harrison Jr. written all over it. And while I expect the Cardinals to win more games, at least for this week, if the draft started today and all the mock drafts that you're going to get upwards of the next week, the Arizona Cardinals are going big game hunting for a certain Britton Heisman candidate wide receiver out of Ohio State.
And is he playing great football right now?
I wish he was here right now with me.
Lord have mercy. That dude is unstoppable.
Yeah, 3 touchdowns
Crazy.
yesterday. 3 touchdowns yesterday, Bo Brock for Marvin Harrison Jr. But the greater portion of this now is Giants, Bears, via the Panthers. Are they winning another game? Because if they don't, this is the Arizona Cardinals in a position not to take a quarterback. And if you're Kyler Murray, that's exactly what you want.
Absolutely. Immediately take yourself in the interim out of the conversation. A lot of schedule to play, no doubt about it. Big game on tap. You got, the Texans coming up in week 12. You've got some games, obviously, that you've got to win between now and then to safely remove yourself from that. But if you kind of fall further and further out of this, like I look at the Patriots guys, and it's been so terrible at the quarterback position, just god awful, that even though they're not in striking position for May or Caleb Williams, who's next on that board? Who do they have to, get up potentially, or would they trade back because the Cardinals, they've got an extra first-round pick? Could they get up to where the Patriots maybe leap the Cardinals in the draft order, because are they going to win any football games going forward? Cardinals could utilize what they have in draft capital to get a Marvin Harrison Jr. if they stay within striking distance as well.
Yeah, it makes me feel like the Cardinals, they're going to win some games here. They're going to get a really good player, but they're not going to be in a contention for one of these quarterbacks. I truly believe that. So much has happened in the last week with the Cardinals, their confidence in Kyler Murray that obviously transpired today, but then just, the dismal quarterback play from Carolina and how bad Frank Wright has been. Everything that's gone on, as you mentioned, across the pond with the Patriots in Germany, Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi looking terrible. The Giants are starting a rookie, Danny DeVito's brother, against the Dallas Cowboys. They're unwatchable. The Cardinals are back to being watchable and, dare I say, very competent. Like when the Cardinals had the first overall pick to take Kyler Murray, Josh Rosen and Sam Bradford were unwatchable. It looked like those teams. The Cardinals are a stark contrast from that. And I really do believe the Cardinals, they had 8 games to evaluate Kyler Murray. Stats be damned today, Bo. And I said this to lead the show. Only the casuals would look at Kyler's stats today and say he didn't play well. Kyler checked a huge box today for this franchise, for this ownership group.
He absolutely did. I mean, think about where this offense was the last couple weeks. They just couldn't put together point-scoring drives. And Kyler Murray, at one point during this game, had 4 consecutive point-scoring drives, including a touchdown mixed into it. Now, of course, we want to see him turn field goals into touchdowns, and I think that's going to come with times and reps and more time with this offense and get it down pat. But, right out of the gates, I mean, I think he showed you absolutely some encouraging things to make you think, hey, this is going to be the guy going forward. And then that ability, Britton, to do the things that there aren't 32 of these guys that can do. There's probably not even a guy on one hand that you can count that makes that play on 3rd and 10, 13-yard scramble to move the chains in a crucial point of the game, setting up the game-winning score. So, I think he showed you everything that you need from game one, and then he's got to parlay that going forward, and he's fully capable of doing so.
I agree. I mean, outside of a Lamar Jackson type guy, I don't think there's anybody else in the league that can make that play that Kyler Murray just made, especially at the end of the game right there. I mean, he looked dead to rights back there in that backfield and somehow just spun out. And, hell, he probably ran 75 yards to get 25. So, I mean, we've seen it happen many times before, the 2-point conversion last year, all types of crazy stuff. But he's one of a kind in ways where he can get out of terrible situations and make something out of nothing.
I want to get to these super chats. You guys are crushing it. Be sure, hit that like button. Let's get this to 400 likes today in honor of a 4 Peaks return for Kyler Murray. We're going to get to 4 Peaks here in a second. Michael, $2. Let the streak begin. We talked about it. Hoping to get 8 straight. I think that's not asking a lot for a fan base that's before today 1-12 in their last 13. Alex, friend of the program, $1.99. Need BG in the weekday podcast. We've been trying. This is a busy man. So he can attest to this. We're going to get him on as much as we can during the week into this offseason, draft coverage, combine coverage, the whole nine. If he'll have us,
we'll get in there for sure.
This man's not going anywhere.
How about the bump he gave to our guy Greg Dortch this week? BG joining on the all-purpose.
Listen, I ain't do nothing for that man. That man is a playmaker. He did that all on his own, baby.
That we needed that today. And again, like Greg Dortch to me he's the epitome of what this show represents. Extension, friend of the program, part of the program. So happy to see Greg Dortch. Bo, that was a turning point in the game, that punt return.
Yeah, it certainly felt like it. I mean, it was going to be a decent that would be tackler and takes it out 22 yards for a huge setup for that scoring drive.
More super chats because you guys are aces today. Wrenches and rants, $4.99. Kyler. 3 plays is what it took to get the rust off. He looked great after that first series. I agree. Bo attested to this. 4 straight scoring drives. He had 6 in the game total. And you think about 0 as compared to a week ago against the Cleveland Browns. Very, very different. Only going to get better. AZ Fan 1998, $5. Let's fucking go. He is our franchise QB. Don't ever spit on K1's name again. That's my quarterback. I mean, like, and we'll have a chance to kind of digest this in the coming days. You got to think, Britton, this had to feel pretty good for somebody that had to take his lumps off the field. People just open season. Bo and I were at Super Bowl Media Week last week. And again, like, you would have thought Kyler Murray was the worst person alive. I mean, the Deshaun Watson-esque type of hate that he was getting unfairly of a guy who just tore his ACL, had just had major surgery. Like, he's never going to come out and say that stuff bothered me and F those people, but has to feel pretty good to get your retribution on the field today and prove a lot of people wrong in the process.
Man, he's got to feel great. I mean, he didn't deserve a lot of the stuff that came out. I mean, the people dragged his name through the mud and doing stuff, this and that. You know, today, he's got to feel like he's on top of the mountain right now.
Yeah.
Like, regardless of the statistic-wise, he came out. We said he needed 250 in the air, and he gave us 250 in the air today.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We said he needed 30 yards on the ground. He got 30 yards on the ground today. He made dynamic plays. And for the man to come back in that first game back straight off of an ACL tear and get a win, regardless of how it looked, regardless of how it turned out, he got a W today, and he silenced a lot of critics. He made a lot of people eat their words, put their foot in their mouth. He's got to feel great. Keep it rolling, Kyler.
Again, Bo, we talked about it. The emotion that Gannon had embracing Kyler Murray after that drive was over, and then subsequently after the game-winning field goal. I just don't think enough people are talking about the relationship between those two individuals and how that's the driving decision moving forward. Like, Gannon wants K1 to be the guy. And for Gannon to have endured a very difficult season up until this point, I don't care what the statistics look like, for him to turn to his quarterback and for him to go 1-for-1 with Kyler Murray, that means more than anything, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it creates almost an unshakable belief in their franchise quarterback, an unshakable faith in their franchise quarterback. And I think it was there even before he played a game. And it now even more kind of cements that this is a head coach that, you know, found this organization appealing because of what Kyler Murray brings to it, and understood that he had to wait for that and was patient through it, and had to, you know, kind of leap through a couple different hurdles in order to do so. But now the time is finally here, and he can prove, you know, that his process, it works. And, you know, with Kyler Murray, he's instilling belief into the quarterback, and it takes, you know, this organization from top to bottom to embrace them, and they're finally doing that, and they're seeing that pay off immediately. And, you know, you can see, like, outside of this organization, nobody gives a shit what they're saying. But what, you know, is being said outside this organization is unbelievable. I mean, there were 4 clowns on some podcast yesterday that people, you know, tagged us in the mentions of, saying, why would, you know, Kyler Murray, they're talking out of both sides of their mouth. Kyler Murray's going to come back, you're going to put him in the lineup, and he's going to win you some meaningless games, but then they're going to move off of him. It's like, wait, is Kyler Murray a guy that's going to come back and elevate a roster that wasn't winning before? Or is it a guy that a franchise should
have
just
your
move
cake
off
and eat it too? We know that.
Exactly. It's ridiculous. And, you know, people are going to start to realize when this team trends in the right direction to finish the season, and they become a trendy team next offseason, they'll say, oh, they were working on something. They were building something there in the desert. We were wrong when we were saying that this was an egregious tank job.
You guys aren't taking the super chats. You guys have been fantastic. let's get back to him here. Leave a like, by the way. We're going to get this video to 400. Topic 64, friend of the program, 499. This game just flowed better. K1 is this team's leader. Again, they're going to get the red zone issues cleaned up, but it just felt like outside of a couple miscues between the 20s, he was smooth, didn't rely on the run game. I thought the run game was there to kind of complement the passing game, frankly. I mean, they didn't have a bunch of robust rushing totals. 122 for 4.7, but that's under their average for the year. I mean, 250 yards passing with plenty of meat left on the bone. The Higgins drop remember that second 18 drop from Higgins?
Yeah.
I mean, like, they probably left a good amount on there. The Hollywood touchdown that wasn't. So yeah, I expect Kyler Murray to get back to a point where it's like 280, 290, 300. And, of course, those passing TDs will come as well. Ethan, $1.99. So glad we didn't draft that nail painter. I'm not sure who that is. Oh, Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams is going to go to a different franchise. And best of luck to Caleb Williams. He's not meant to come here, in my opinion. Britton, he's going to go somewhere else, and he's going to have to overcome adversity. The Cardinals, in my opinion, have a guy, as long as they keep winning, and they look like they did today, that is better than Caleb Williams, frankly, right now. Like, I think it's ridiculous to insinuate that a guy in the Pac-12 is better than a quarterback winning games consistently and has a resume
who's
on
lost four straight.
Right.
Four straight in the Pac-12.
But if you really want to sit back and think, and you watch both of them play the game, there's not too many differences in the way they play the game. The only difference you're getting with Caleb Williams, he's a little bit taller and he's a little bit slower.
Yeah.
So essentially,
and he's cheaper.
To think about that you would do that, you already have that same type of athlete in place who is more athletic than Caleb Williams to start.
Yeah.
So watch that. He ain't coming here anyway. You've got your quarterback. You've got your franchise quarterback. Now build around him, give him weapons, give him protection, and see where it goes.